You're listening to This Is My Side Hustle. The tips, tools, and advice you need to optimize your life live here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to additional income by engineering your choices around your ideal lifestyle, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join us as we unpack unconventional ideas and methods to give you more freedom and flexibility. Let's escape the rat race together and live with intention. Let's learn how others are making it pay with their side hustles. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 19 of This Is My Side Hustle. Sorry, I meant to say episode 20. Please ignore that. Let's move on. I'm doing this from my phone today, so if the audio is not quite up to speed or all that great, I apologize. It's the week before school starts, so I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm desperately trying to get all of the school stuff ready, school shopping, going to open houses, letting my kids check out where their rooms are and their teachers, and putting their stuff in their lockers ahead of time and all of that. We've also got family reunion coming up and just lots of things going on. So I'm trying to squeeze this one in to be consistent, but I apologize in advance if this isn't the best audio. I'm doing what I can at the moment. I'm actually sitting in my home office right now with some mood lighting, some really low lamp lighting, and some candles. Actually, I've got my fall apple cinnamon scented candles burning for the mood. And I just wanted to take this time to dive into this episode. And I really think it's going to be helpful for anyone who's thinking about adding to their current skill set in their current job in order to negotiate a raise, or for anyone who's looking to add additional services as a freelancer or a consultant, or someone who just wants to start a side hustle. So I'm going to go over several skills that are pretty easy and quick to learn. You don't need a college degree for these. There's plenty of courses online that are either free or cheap that you could learn these skills from. And I want to encourage you to always learn a few new skills per year, or even one new skill. If you really want to perfect that skill and you're making a lot of income from that skill, that's totally fine. But adding these different skills can add a lot of extra income to your bottom line. So let's get started. In case you didn't know, Pinterest and Instagram are the best affiliate marketing tools and ways to drive traffic to your website. But did you also know that Tailwind is the only approved Pinterest scheduling tool? That's right, the only one. So Tailwind tracked their users, and here's what they found.
Tailwind users get 6.9 times more saves generated.
Tailwind users get 3.7 times more followers added.
And Tailwind users get 4.2 times more pins published.
PinFaster has the best times for engagement with Tailwind.
That's right. So visit makingitpaytostay.com/Tailwind and schedule all of your social media marketing posts on Tailwind and Instagram, where all of the younger people are hanging out. And I wanted to mention, all of these skills can be used to work from home and remotely, or in like a flex work position. So if you're currently working for an employer and perhaps you're doing certain things that you could work from home through the skills that you already have, if you add some of these, you could perhaps add extra hours or go to your boss and say, hey, like, I've just learned this. I think our company could use this skill, and I'd love to offer it if you perhaps wanted to give me a 30-day trial run, and we'll see how it goes. And if you're happy with it, then I'll let you know how much extra it's going to be. So you can definitely pitch your employers with extra skills you're learning in order to get raises. Or even if you don't want to get a raise, you can possibly negotiate benefits, things like that. So keep all of these in mind. They're all remote positions. They're really easy to learn. Again, no college degree required, and you can do them all pretty inexpensively, if not for free. So the first one is legal transcription. So as a legal typist, you're going to listen to recordings, depositions, and then you type them out verbatim. So you generally need a headset, transcription software, and a foot pedal. There are a lot of companies who hire legal typists. Often you don't need previous legal transcription experience to be considered, but you really should have some kind of training. So a lot of them say 1 to 2 years of legal transcription experience required, but you don't always need to have 100% of the skills presented in a job posting. Fun fact, guys, men, male species, generally apply for jobs that meet about 40 to 50% of their actual skills. They just go for it and they're like, well, I know half of this stuff, so I'm going to go for it. Women usually don't do it until it's about 80 to 90%, which, and I'm not going to get into a political debate, but maybe why women are not making as much as men, if you even think that that's true. Some people say it's true, some people say it isn't. There's so many factors that go into it, and this is not the time for me to debate that. However, as a stereotype, and I hate to stereotype women because I feel like I'm not the average woman, but as a gender, women tend to be a lot more passive and not as confident when applying to jobs, and they pass over a lot of jobs that other men who probably have less skills than them are landing because they're going for it. So don't be afraid if you see something that says several years of experience or bachelor's degree. So for instance, I've received job offers from places that say bachelor's degree when I do not have one, but I have more than 4 years of experience on the job training, and I have testimonials and things like that to back it up. So don't be afraid to go after those things. Anyway, you definitely want to get some proper training if you want to be a legal transcriptionist. And of course, you want to make your typing skills as good as they possibly can be. So if you're a good typist, this is going to help you a lot. In the world of transcription, the quicker you can type, the more you can earn. That's just the bottom line. You can determine whether or not you maybe want to go to legal transcription or other kinds of transcriptions, because you can transcribe for all kinds of things. You can do medical, you can do podcasts, you can do TV shows, YouTube videos, all kinds of things. But I will put a link in the show notes for a site that you can check out, maybe different transcription companies or even types of transcription that you might be interested in. So think outside of the box in this one, but legal transcription is a very hot position for people who want to work from home. The next one I want to talk about is general proofreading. The world is filled with content. I'm sure you feel information overload everywhere you go. You just can't take it in. You can't process it enough. There's just so much going on. There are 1 billion websites as I speak right now. This amounts to a never-ending stream of words that make their way to the World Wide Web every single day. Many of these words aren't published on a whim. Instead, they're carefully vetted before being posted. Part of the vetting process involves proofreaders. So as a general proofreader, your job is to go over content, blog posts, website copy, ebooks, articles, and more. In fact, I've done this with one of my clients who's published several books. I've helped her proofread and edit her books before sending it off to her editor at the publishing house, and we were able to get her books out there quickly. It's something I do have experience with. I have several blogs with various companies that I do this with. Part of my job for many of my clients is proofreading their blogs before it goes live. And what your objective is with this skill is to find all the spelling mistakes and grammar errors that were missed during the editing process. So there are definitely different tools that can help you. My number one suggestion is Grammarly. So if you go to makingitpaytostay.com/Grammarly, you can check that out. You can get a special discount on that. You can even get the free version if you don't want to pay for the paid version. Although if you're promoting yourself as a professional proofreader, you probably ought to get the paid version. There are some benefits that come along with that. But I found for the most part, the free version is just fine. However, don't get me wrong. When it comes to my own things, I publish things that aren't Grammarly. See, I can't even talk. Grammatically correct. I'm sure I post things with spelling errors, even though I use Grammarly. Especially on my own things, I'm definitely more careful when it comes to my clients, but you don't have to be perfect. Here's the thing. If you've got a 90% track record, you're doing just fine. I read articles on entrepreneur.com and Forbes.com and various well-respected, well-known business sites that have typos all of the time. And guess what? Most people, if they even notice them, their brain corrects it and they move on. Some people who notice them are probably grammar teachers, they're grammar Nazis, and they like to judge people for making a mistake, which is kind of ridiculous, but either way, you can make a lot of money doing that, and I bet those people who are judging everyone aren't making a ton of money doing that. The next one that you can learn to do from home, the next skill you can learn is copywriting and copy editing. So this is different from proofreading. This is basically like writing specific things that really resonate with the brand and the target audience that they are going after. So the right words can sell really well. So much so that businesses and brands pay a lot to get their message across just right. Often this task is outsourced to copywriters and copy editors. A copywriter's main objective is to craft content that sells. Think of websites, sales pages, product descriptions, and even emails. The messages these relay can persuade you to make a purchase or keep you from buying altogether. So think about a website you've landed on. Perhaps you saw an ad on Facebook or Instagram. You clicked on it. You go to the website. You're really excited, but you can't find the information you need. Or you're not quite sure exactly what problem they're solving. Or you're not exactly sure what product they're actually selling to you. This would be an example of bad copywriting. But on the other hand, think of something you've typed into Google. And the first thing that comes up, because of course they have good SEO on their website and they're probably paying for Google ads, you click on it and you're like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. You go to the website or the landing page, they sell you right away. They tell you how great you are, how they can easily solve your problem, why it's worth sending your money to them. That is good copywriting. So good copywriting is one of the work-at-home skills that can be learned, but if you want to learn this one, you really have to love to write, because this definitely requires some mental fortitude and a lot of mental energy. And I've found when I'm doing landing pages for clients, which I do on occasion, it takes a lot out of me because I'm really, really focused on the customer what exactly they need to hear, what specific words I need to put in there, how to not come across as sleazy or salesy. The last thing you want to do is to constantly be selling to your customers. People cannot stand that. In fact, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to tell you something that happened recently with us and why we turned a business down because they were being super salesy. So we've been asking different companies for roofing quotes because we want to get a metal roof on our home in the next month or two. And first of all, let me just tell you, about 50% of the people we've reached out to did not respond whatsoever. Even after numerous follow-up texts, calls, emails, etc., they didn't even get back to us. So right away we were like, well, goodbye. You don't have our business. You're not going to get back to us. That's ridiculous. And this has been over a month. So I don't know if something happened. I don't know if they don't have good communication. I don't know if they don't have good administration skills. Whatever. If you're not going to get back to me in a reasonable time, like 2 to 3 business days at most, I'm moving on. So not only did they not get back to us, but we actually had one company tell us that they were going to come to our house, but they wanted my husband and I to be there. So my husband called them and he said, yeah, I'm looking for this. My wife will probably pick the color and I just want a quote. That was it. That's pretty much all he said. And they picked up on the and my wife part, and they were like, oh, yes, here's a good sale. So they called him back and said, we will be there to talk to you and your wife, but both you and your wife have to be there, and we're going to come in and sit down and talk about all of your options. So they weren't even going to give us a quote or look at our house. And I told my husband, no, I'm not doing that. Automatically, they're out. That is ridiculous. I just want to quote, look at my roof, tell me how much the metal roof is going to cost, and then we'll go from there. And they didn't want to do that. They wanted to sit us down and schmooze us and give us all of these options and upsell us. And believe me, dude, I'm on to you. So I told my husband, nope, not going to do it. If you want to sit down with him, fine. I'm not going to be here. What's he going to do? Make me sit down and talk to him? I'm leaving. That's just the way I am. So I was like, I'm not listening to a whole salesperson spiel on selling me a roof. And I hate that. And I automatically discounted him. And I was like, if you want to waste a half an hour talking to this guy, that's up to you. But he called them and said, hey, I decided I'm going to just cancel it. Well, guess what? Somebody showed up anyway, and they came to the door, and it was one guy in a car, no truck, no ladder, no tools, nothing to measure our roof with. He just came to pitch us a sale. And my husband greeted him at the door and said, I actually canceled. I'm not sure that you heard, so sorry. We're not going to go with you. So that's obviously what he was doing. So be very careful when you're doing copywriting and sales tactics that you're not over the top. And for goodness sakes, please do not post affiliate links on personal profiles and things like that unless your personal name is your brand. So if you're a famous person like Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift is your brand, then of course go ahead and do something like that. But if you have a business that's separate from your name or your personal profile, don't talk about your business on your personal profile, social media, and things like that unless you distinctly want to be connected to that brand. Never want to be able to sell that. Never want to be able to sell that domain. That's fine. But be very, very careful about that. And don't be salesy. People cannot stand it. They can see right through it. So moving on after that. You know what one of the best side hustles is? Getting cash back for things you spend money on anyway, every single month, all of the time without doing anything different. So for that, I suggest the American Express Blue Cash Card. You'll get 6% back on groceries and 3% back on gas. And every single month, they have over 50 different special offers for specific merchants who are offering cash back on purchases. Sometimes they have minimums, sometimes they don't. But I highly suggest you check into this because there's no better way to assist your side hustle than pay for things you already have to pay for while getting money back that you otherwise wouldn't be getting. So go to makingitpaytostay.com/blueamex. That's makingitpay-stay.com/BLUEAMEX. The next skill you can easily learn to do, if your personality suits it, is customer service. So of all of the work at home skills that I'm going to talk about today, the most in demand probably is customer service. There are no shortage of customer service jobs from home. From Fortune 500 companies to small startups, all types of businesses embrace virtual call centers. Generally speaking, remote customer service pros receive inbound calls via their computer or sometimes landlines. Yes, some companies still require a landline for this type of work. Calls can range from general questions to billing issues to technical disputes and everything in between. Really, it depends on the company and their line of work, and most of the time they differentiate the skills that they're looking for in their job description. Many customer service jobs from home are entry level. That means you don't need any experience to get started. However, if you want to give your resume a boost, you probably should take several courses from Udemy about customer service, and I highly suggest that you have the personality suited for this. So if you're going to be a customer service agent of any kind, you really need to be able to deal with people yelling and screaming at you, criticizing you, putting you down personally. You need to be able to be calm in stressful situations. You need to be able to think on your feet. If you can do that, this is probably a really great job for you. If you get easily flustered, if you can't stand talking to angry people, if you don't know how to diffuse situations and solve someone's problem in a way that's acceptable to them, then customer service is probably not for you. All right, moving on. General transcription. So I touched on this a little bit with legal transcription, but general transcription is another entry-level friendly work-at-home job. If you can type quickly and accurately, you would probably be great at general transcription. You don't really need to talk to people. You don't need to interact a lot except for directly through your clients. However, keep in mind it takes quite a bit of skill to listen to something and type what's being said. Now, this is definitely true because if you think about sometimes when you listen to me, I stumble over my words. I might say, and pause and perhaps not get my entire thought out. And then if you add another person into the mix, let's say there's a podcast with 3 or 4 people talking, it's very difficult to keep track of who is saying what and exactly what they're saying. But if you want to be successful, you need to have a strong grasp of grammar, the ability to multitask. If you're good at learning by thinking, if you're able to absorb things through your ears, if you're an auditory learner, this is probably good for you. This actually is something I found out I'm actually really good at. My favorite way to learn is by listening, so I listen to tons of podcasts. If I watch a YouTube video, I actually prefer to end up listening to it and do other things at the same time. I'm not a visual learner. I'm not a hands-on learner. I'm very much an auditory learner. So when I hear people talking, I absorb everything they're saying, and I'm getting what the gist is of the conversation. If that feels confusing to you, especially if there's multiple people talking at once. If you're not able to follow multiple conversations in a room, let's say, when you're at a party, this might not be great. But there are plenty of somewhat low-paying but general transcription jobs that will take a chance on a newbie. So if you want to try it, this is a good thing to try. If you really want to transition to a work-at-home career, though, you'll need training to back up better pay. Transcribe Anywhere. If you go to makingitpaytostay.com/transcribe anywhere, they have an amazing and free general transcription course that you can sign up for. When you get there, you can learn what it takes to create a successful career typing from home job, and you can perhaps be a freelancer or just apply to work at home job listings that you find, but transcription is definitely still needed. And then medical transcription. Of course, it goes along with legal and general transcription, but this is a much more specialized form of transcription. You will definitely, absolutely need some type of training in order to be even considered for these remote-friendly roles. Often, medical typists deal with complex cases and really tricky terminology, and that's where training comes into play. The transcripts you produce as a medical typist become part of a patient's medical records, so it's really important that they're 100% accurate. And although you need formal training for this line of remote work, it's something you can learn relatively quickly and also from home. And generally, you can learn this for around $5,000 or less, so it's definitely less than one semester of college. So it's probably worth it if this is something you're interested in, but definitely give it 6 to 12, maybe even 18 months. Budget $5,000 to $10,000 at most in order to get your training for medical transcription, but it is a much more higher paying job than general transcription. The next one is a bookkeeper. Now this is interesting because one of my clients is a bookkeeper, and she started her own bookkeeping business. However, she did have a degree in accounting, and she did have experience working with the military as a bookkeeper, and then she started her own business. However, I know many people who were able to learn the skills that they needed to work from home, and I posted jobs for her on different job boards for remote workers who were bookkeepers, and it paid fairly well for people who didn't even necessarily have a 4-year degree. So in the United States, all businesses, no matter how large or small, are required by law to maintain bookkeeping records. So listen to that. If you're running a side hustle, if you have a business and you're not keeping records, that's illegal. So please make sure you're doing that. For many smaller businesses, it really doesn't make sense to have a full-time bookkeeper on staff. Instead, they choose to outsource the work to a virtual bookkeeper. And in fact, my client who owns a bookkeeping business has multiple virtual bookkeepers who handle all of her clients. So let's say she has 16 clients and she has 4 virtual bookkeepers. Each one of them is probably doing the work for 4 of her clients. So 4 bookkeeping clients, and it's part-time. It does pay well, but keep that in mind. As an added bonus, bookkeepers don't need formal training, unlike accountants. So you can't go be an accountant or a certified public accountant unless you have a degree. That's something you absolutely need a degree for. But bookkeepers can learn their trade through on-the-job training or by taking a course. I actually did take a bookkeeping course, and I realized I hated it and I didn't want to do it. So I basically threw $1,000 down the toilet. He talked more about marketing and starting a business than he did bookkeeping, and I really already knew about starting a business and marketing. I just needed to know accounting and bookkeeping, and it was not helpful. So I'm not going to recommend that one here. However, I will link in the show notes to several bookkeeping courses that people do highly recommend, people I trust, and those will be in the show notes, so check those out. The next thing you can be is a Facebook ad pro. So this is something I do all the time for my clients. You're probably on Facebook throughout the day, and businesses and brands are too. I'm sure you see them. I'm sure you see sponsored posts in your newsfeed all the time. They're using Facebook to promote products, interact with customers, and even respond to complaints. But there's a side of Facebook you're probably not too familiar with as a consumer, and that's Facebook ads. You see, the ads platform is a popular way for businesses, bloggers, and brands to get their names and products in front of new customers. This paid-for platform can help drive new leads and sales, but only when done correctly. Because it can be really tricky to figure out, many businesses outsource their Facebook ads to the professionals. These pros create campaigns and strategies that get likes and shares. With just a little bit of training, you too can become one of these sought-after pros with Facebook ad knowledge. A great place to start is Facebook itself. Honestly, there's no better place whenever you're learning a skill than the actual platform itself. If you want to be good at Instagram, visit Instagram's support page. If you want to be good at Facebook ads, visit Facebook. If you want to be good at any kind of software, visit their tutorials first. They want people using their products. They have the best tutorials. And I do not understand why people spend thousands of dollars learning these things that are already taught for free by the platform themselves. However, if you do that and you still can't figure it out, there are plenty of other places you can go to maybe help explain it in a different way. I know that the platforms can be very cut and dry. They can be a bit technical. So I will link to some things in the show notes where you can find out more about being a Facebook ads strategist or consultant, or just add it to your repertoire of work at home skills. Now, the next thing, which is my favorite, is a virtual assistant. This is super high in demand. And I'm talking everything from online research to calendar management and email answering. And those are very, very basic skills. I don't even do those things anymore. Honestly, there are so many higher level skills that you can offer as a virtual assistant if you're willing to do the training and figure them out, or if you already know specific things. So if you're good at back end and front end web development, if you're good at social media, if you're good at ads, you can charge a whole heck of a lot more as a virtual assistant than you can just from answering emails and relaying information and taking phone calls and things like that. I don't think that I even did much of that when I first started. But it's a really good way for people to jump into working from home if they don't have the other skills yet. And the other skills are really good to learn. So as a virtual assistant myself, and also as a blogger, I've turned to a variety of virtual assistants in the past as well to help me manage my day-to-day operations, helping with social media, creating graphics, doing keyword research, things like that. If you're really good at getting things done and an expert delegator, you'd probably kill it as a VA. This is one of the work-from-home career paths that has exploded in recent years and shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. I will put some links in the show notes to courses I recommend or different resources you can get for free or a very low cost that you might be interested in if you want to get started as a virtual assistant. I'm making over $5,000 per month as a virtual assistant, and I'm now working about 10 hours per week. That's right. So I work about an average of 2 hours a day during the work week. I don't work on the weekends. What actually happens is I work about 4 hours on Monday, and then the rest of the hours are split up with the other days. I also am an early riser, so I get up early, I get started. I'm done with my workday well before lunchtime every single day. And I've got the entire rest of the day, and I'm making a lot more money than most people with 4-year degrees. So this is definitely something you want to check out. It's really, really easy to get into if you're willing to learn new skills, willing to jump in, willing to learn on the fly, willing to say, yeah, I'll check that out. Half of the things that I do now are things that I wasn't really familiar with at the beginning, but I said to my client, yeah, of course, I'll go check that out. I'll get it done. And I learned it, and I love it, and now I'm really fast, and I'm really good at it, and it doesn't take a lot of brain power. I can do it from anywhere. This is definitely something you want to check into. The next one I recommend is a graphic designer. Design is all around us now, especially from the layout of a web page to the logo on a shampoo bottle. We're constantly surrounded by design. But good design and bad design are two very different things. And for businesses and brands, that can make all the difference in how memorable and successful they are. That's why design is often done by a third party, someone who can objectively look back and lend their eye to the creative process. I mean, it goes without saying that graphic design is one of the work-at-home skills that is both in demand and super lucrative, but you really need to have an eye for it. If you're not artistic, trust me, your graphic design sucks. I see a lot of it. It's probably awful. Not that mine is super great. I'm not a graphic designer. I often do my own things, but I see other people's and I cringe. And it's well worth it if you want to take off with your brand, with your business, to hire a graphic designer. The next one is a Pinterest assistant. Now, this is something I do myself because I've taken the time to learn it, but a Pinterest assistant is basically somebody who creates the graphics and the strategy. Now, that's what I'm better at. I'm better at strategy than I am at graphics for getting traffic to a website. Pinterest has come a long way from an invite-only idea-saving app. Today, it's a visual search engine used by millions of men and women every day. And because it has such a far-stretching reach, many businesses and brands actively use Pinterest as a way to generate sales and find new customers. But like all things social media and business related, Pinterest can be a big time suck. That's why many people opt to outsource work to a Pinterest assistant. This is also called a Pinterest virtual assistant or a virtual assistant specializing in Pinterest. Most likely they're using a platform like Tailwind. If you go to makingitpaytostay.com/Tailwind, that's definitely a tool you have to have if you care to do anything on Pinterest. It's not all that confusing. You just need to watch Tailwind's tutorials and watch Pinterest's tutorials. You can find these on YouTube, but like I said before, you can find them for free and very well explained from Pinterest and Tailwind themselves. So I'll put a link in the show notes to help you with that. Another way you can kind of niche your virtual assistant skills down is becoming a real estate assistant. So I actually do social media for a realtor, but I don't do more than that because I don't really care to, nor do I want to. I don't want to handle his legal documents. He's in Canada, so that's not something I want to deal with either. But doing a social media, that's great. However, realtors need a lot more than just social media. They need a lot of administrative work, a lot of paperwork things. Let's say sending documents back and forth to clients through DocuSign, answering emails, answering texts from clients who want to schedule a walkthrough through a home, or responding to an offer and talking to the sellers and then relaying that information to the realtor. There's a lot you can do for realtors if you really enjoy realty and you really want to niche yourself down as a realty virtual assistant. So hopefully all of these work at home skills that I've told you can easily learn have been helpful. And remember, it's never too late to learn a new skill. In fact, now is as good a time as any. You really need to focus though. A lot of people have a hard time focusing on learning anything, and they're jumping from thing to thing rather than really digging in and getting very, very good at something and then moving on from there. So pick one thing, get really, 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 really good at it, and then move on. Stop buying all the courses. Stop going from thing to thing to thing. Or if you do buy a course that basically encompasses everything that you want to learn, stay on the one step until you really know that you've got that down. Like you could go and teach it yourself. You could talk about it in an impromptu speech for 20 minutes. You really got to know what you're doing before you move on. And I feel like in this day and age, everyone's so distracted and they're jumping around that they really don't get what they're supposed to be getting. And they say, oh yeah, I've got this skill or I know how to do that. Or they're passing themselves off as something that they're really not. Don't do that. You really need to know what you're doing so that you can confidently handle what your clients throw at you, what your employer throws at you, and then go and pitch that to your clients. Then offer that as a service. Then talk to your employer and say, hey, I know this really well. We're not doing a great job at this, and here's how I can help. So hopefully some of these things help you. You can never learn too much. It's never too late. You can always keep going and learn new things. So I hope some of these things have been helpful. Again, I apologize for the audio. I've had my laundry going in the background. I've had kids running around. I'm losing my voice. I have like a late summer sore throat or something like that. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. And I'm hoping to have an awesome episode next week. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do it on. I'm kind of toying between 2 or 3 ideas. I'm wondering how people are going to like them because it's kind of a little bit off the typical things I usually talk about. I'm not sure if I'm ready to delve into certain things like that yet. But I'm toying with it. We'll see. It'll be a surprise. So be sure to tune in next week for episode 21. So I'm almost at 6 months of doing this podcast, and it's been awesome. I thank you all so much for listening. If you haven't left a rating or review yet, please do so on iTunes or any of your favorite podcatchers. You can find me on Spotify, Google Play. I think if you ask Alexa to play me, it'll play it. You got to ask for This Is My Side Hustle podcast. If that doesn't work, let me know. If anyone has Alexa and they try that, if it doesn't work, let me know. I can't really try it here because I don't have Alexa, but I'd love to know if that works. And of course, as always, if you want to be a guest on the show or you want to leave some tips or tricks for other people, go to makingitpaytostay.com/voicemail. There you'll find a link to apply to be on the show. There's also a link where you can leave me a voicemail, and of course you can comment on that page. I don't check my emails a whole lot. However, so I won't maybe see your comment, but I do get the voicemails instantly and the applications instantly. It might take me a couple of days to get to it, but I do actually get them and I see them. So if you want to do that, go ahead and check it out. And thanks so much for listening, guys. Until next time, this is my side hustle.